I only remember the sound, a roaring, thunderous wrath unleashed as fire ignited around me. It wasn't just a sound, it was a symphony of chaos. Piercing alarms blaring, engines growling, all merging into a cacophony that wrapped tightly around my throat and squeezed. My heart raced, a frantic drum echoing against the metal shell that confined me. My body trembled with the tremor of the ground beneath, an unexpected reminder of the power we wielded, and yet the fragility of it all. Heat engulfed me, coming at me like a monster set free, flames licking hungrily at every corner of my consciousness. I felt the sweat bead on my skin, an inescapable warmth that deepened the freezing claw of fear slicing through my gut. It was a collision of extremes, the searing heat of the inferno juxtaposed with the chill of impending doom. My mind struggled to comprehend, racing against the knowledge that everything might shatter in a heartbeat. The control panel vibrated beneath my fingertips, slick with my sweat. Every button and lever blurring into a chaotic dance of red lights and alarms. Desperation dripped from my being, pooling around my thoughts. Each second stretched into an eternity, the world outside lost to a fog of flames and horror. I could hear my own breath, shallow and rapid, drowned by the sounds of destruction. Cacophonous alarms screamed warnings I could not heed. Every sound wrapped tightly around my chest as I grappled for control. The crack of the shuttle's fuselage echoed in my ears like the sickening snap of a bone, resonating deeply in my core. There was no clarity, only instinct, driven by a primal urge to escape, to be free. I grasped the edges of the seat, my knuckles white, longing for a moment of stillness amid the madness. In flashes, memories burst like fireworks in the corner of my consciousness. The lingering laughter of my colleagues from the break room earlier that day, the warmth of shared dreams and hopes, promising futures soaring against the backdrop of stars. How could everything come crashing down in the blink of an eye? A part of my mind clawed at the disbelief. Memories collided with the reality before me as violently as the flames that now consumed my world. And with a jolt, everything changed. A rush of panic soared, accompanied by fear's heavy hand pressing down on me. I caught a glimpse of the dire end approaching, a flicker of realization that the very dreams I helped weave were now engulfed in a merciless firestorm. My thoughts spiraled into chaos, punctuated only by an urgency to scream, to warn, to reach out. Yet I was silenced, trapped in this moment where time itself seemed to fracture. Then came the silence, sudden, overpowering silence. A relentless, hollow echo that swallowed the chaos whole, leaving only darkness. Darkness that clung to me like a shroud, suffocating, yet oddly liberating. It draped over my consciousness, and in that quiet, empty space, I felt the disappearance of boundaries, the dissolution of flesh, of fear, of a life that had just begun to dim. I was left with nothing but the haunting touch of reality lingering in my memory, a reality soon faded, erased by the quiet despair that arrived with death. For a moment, I floated in that darkness, disembodied, untethered. The weight of reality began to settle on me, a heavy mist wrapping around memories that lingered in the corners of my mind. I could feel fragments of who I was surfacing through the haze, names, faces, aspirations. I was an engineer, a dreamer, someone who poured heart and soul into the very fabric of what we created. My name was David. I devoted myself to the stars above, a loyal servant to innovation, committed to crafting vehicles that would carry our hopes into the cosmos. I loved that feeling, the fierce passion intertwining within every calculated decision, the precise movements of taking an idea from a sketch on paper into something real, something that grazed the edge of the universe. I remember those late nights in the lab, surrounded by bright screens and the smell of soldering metal. They were my comrades, my friends, the ones who filled my existence with laughter that echoed through empty hallways. One face stands out, Martha, my closest confidant, with her bright smile and contagious enthusiasm that could uplift any moment. We exchanged dreams of exploration, painted them across the night sky like constellations waiting to be discovered. But on that fateful day, the triumph we envisioned turned into a dark reckoning. I can't shake the feeling that the echoes of our conversations lingered in the air, heavy with the weight of unspoken fears. I didn't think it would be the end. My thoughts raced back to moments before the launch, when the excitement of countdowns electrified the atmosphere. We were all so sure, yet something inside me nagged. A tiny, persistent voice whispered of caution, of waiting, of listening. All around, colleagues exchanged nervous glances, laughter masking doubt. I remember the hope mixed with an undercurrent of dread as we gathered by the launch pad, eyes fixed on the shuttle gleaming under the sun. Our hearts beat as one, captured by the promise of exploration, but all the while ignoring the subtle whispers of anxiety dancing among us. The brief conversation I had with Martha lingers strongly, her voice a haunting echo. "David, do you ever worry about the readiness, the weather?" She trailed off, apprehensive, her brow furrowed as she lingered over unspoken fears that danced on the tip of her tongue. I brushed it aside, feeling reassured by the rehearsed protocols and the overwhelming tide of optimism surrounding us. "It's all part of the journey," I replied, forcing a smile. "We've trained for this. We were born to fly." Now, mere memories taunting me, shadows of a life that was so full, yet stripped bare in an instant. I can't escape the gnawing guilt that twists my insides, the notion that I carried dreams and hopes so high they should have floated free, yet they got tangled in an intricate web of carelessness and ambition. There was a line we all danced upon, a tightrope strung high above doubt, but we had fallen, and the truth of it lay buried beneath that swelling flame. As I linger here in this void, I can't help but reflect upon it all, the choices we make, the silence we allow to seep into our lives. Conversations that were filled with tentative hope now echo in my soul, promises of discovery mingled with grave uncertainty. They were the signs we chose to ignore, markers of fate that could have diverted us from calamity. And as those images fade into remembrance, I realize something so profound. My heart aches for those I left behind, the ones who would bear the weight of my absence, my unfulfilled dreams. Martha, her laughter now little more than a ghost, their vibrance dimmed. I wonder if she carries the same weight of what could have been, a burden I wove from my choices, tethering us in this unseen tragic past. I can still hear her voice as if she were right beside me, urging me to listen, to acknowledge that silence can be deafening. I can feel it now, the rush of unyielding emotion, the pang of regret and longing that pours through me, heavy as the echoes of despair in this ethereal place. My dreams, my laughter, everything seems so vivid, so real. Yet here I am, caught between the thrumming of memories and a painful reality that refuses to let go. In this limbo, as flashes of my life dissolve around me, one thing remains steadfast, the journal I held dear. It was never just a collection of thoughts. It was a promise made, a testament to aspirations I clung to tightly, a refuge for my fears and dreams. The weight of it rests heavily, a metaphoric anchor tethering me to the earth I can no longer touch. I ache to share its secrets, to unveil the truths hidden within its pages. Perhaps it contains the key for someone, a future soul yearning for answers,
lessons waiting to be uncovered among the hurried scrawl of my unfulfilled dreams. As I drift in this space between worlds, I am desperate to ensure it doesn't fade like the memories that began to slip through my fingers, echoing my silence into eternity. And now, with every heartbeat resonating against the backdrop of nothingness, I hold on to the thread of hope. I whisper into the void, hoping someone will hear, feel, and ultimately understand my silence, giving life to the echoes it once carried. I will not be forgotten. My voice will rise again. The day before the launch unfolded with a familiar rhythm, a blend of excitement and underlying tension. Morning sunlight poured into the break room, warming the air infused with the robust scent of fresh coffee. Colleagues gathered, the atmosphere buoyant with laughter and chatter, their voices a comforting backdrop to the nervous energy filling the room. I savored that camaraderie as we shared stories about past missions, replaying victories that felt woven into the fabric of our lives. Yet amid the playful banter, I caught subtle flickers of anxiety in my teammates' expressions. Tom's brow furrowed as he voiced concerns about the shifting weather patterns. "They're saying the winds might cause delays," he remarked, trying to inject a sense of levity while masking his unease. I shrugged it off, convinced that our preparations and our meticulous training would shield us from any looming uncertainties. "Come on,
We're ready for this. We face tougher challenges," I assured him, eager to keep the energy infused with resolve. The day morphed into a flurry of activity as we darted between control panels and neighborhoods of machinery, a well-rehearsed dance of professionals committed to innovation and exploration. But with every pulse of adrenaline that rushed through me, a nagging voice whispered anxieties that tugged at my gut. I couldn't shake the growing tension, a sliver of doubt threatening to disrupt our shared excitement. I remember pausing to glance at a photo taped above my workstation, a snapshot of our team beaming with promise. We were comrades in pursuit of greatness, yet the certainty of our smiles felt at odds with the shifting atmosphere around us. As I studied the faces grinning back, my heart ached with an unexplainable worry. The rhythm of the day came to an exhilarating peak as we conducted pre-launch checks, surrounded by the Titanic shuttle that would soon pierce the sky. Its silhouette rose stark against the azure sky, emblematic of ambition and achievement. But a weight settled deeper within me as the countdown approached. Each beep and whir from machinery melded into a soundtrack colored with unshakable tension. Conversation flowed freely around me, straight jokes, proud remarks about our imminent journey. But as my colleagues laughed, I felt paranoid undercurrents dancing beneath the surface. "You think they'll manage it this time?" Martha asked, her wide eyes sparkling with excitement. "If we keep our focus, I'll even bet you a coffee that we shatter the last mission's records." Her laughter was infectious, yet I sensed an unspoken apprehension lying just beneath. As night fell, the stars twinkling like scattered dreams overhead, the air thickened with anticipation. I took a moment to breathe in the energy swirling around me, but the precious air turned heavy in my lungs, thick with dread. I longed to push all anxieties aside, believing nothing could go awry. I glanced at the crisp pages of my journal, a collection of hopes, fears, and dreams. It was a silent yet heavy companion I clutched, offering reassurance in that intoxicating mix of goals and aspirations. I recalled my spilled thoughts, scribbled fervently during restless nights when stars seemed to call out, igniting ambitions that soared higher than I could ever reach. As the final moments approached, I sensed a horrific clarity, a line separating ambition from danger. My heart thundered in my chest, suspended between dreams unfurling and hopes crashing. Reality loomed larger at each second, threatening everything we'd ever worked for. I stood still, caught in the poignant silence, listening to whispers that penetrated the din of excitement. I reached out to the others, wanting to share my growing concern, but the words stayed lodged in my throat, swallowed by the palpable tension around me. When I looked across the room, I saw the devotion that shone in my colleagues' eyes. Every face illuminated by the flickering lights of hope, innocence intertwined with ambition.
They were fresh, invigorated by dreams unbroken, a view I could barely entertain amid the wrestling doubts I grappled with inside. But this was it, the moment we had trained for, dreamed of. I had to grasp that spark of optimism before it flickered out completely. As I prepared to launch into the unknown, all I had was the relentless hope that underpinned our mission. So I made a silent vow, one that I hoped against all odds would carry me through the turbulence of the night ahead. Tomorrow would test our resolve, and in the shadows, where doubts dared to linger, I offered my whispered prayer. I clung to the hope that we'd transcend, that we would reach for the stars and not fall. With my heart ablaze with that conviction, I steeled myself for what awaited, unaware of the harrowing fate that loomed beyond the veil. In the days that followed, lost in time and consciousness, I found myself tethered to something tangible. The object that awaited discovery was a small, worn journal, its cover faded and threadbare, revealing the reflections of a life unlived. It had belonged to me, a heart-shaped anchor that pulsed with the dreams, thoughts, and fears I scribbled into its pages long before the world fell silent around me. The journal bore witness to my aspirations, and within it lay the whispers of love intermingling with echoes of regret. I could see it now, stretching forth from the shadows of a distant past, evoking the myriad emotions that once bubbled within. The day before the launch, I had tucked it into my satchel, believing it a safeguard against the chaos of that tumultuous day, a secret solace I could hold close in the face of uncertainty. With trembling hands, I traced the edges of its pages,
recalling the fervor that gripped me as I poured my thoughts into its embrace. Memories spilled forth liquid and vibrant. My hopes for the mission, plans for the future, sketches for designs yet to be born. I remembered a moment captured in ink, the night I had dedicated it to Martha. I had scribbled her name in flowing letters, aspiring to record our dreams together. Long before fate would rip those dreams asunder, we'd shared long nights wrapped in aspiration, fervently believing that we would touch the stars. Our pact was solidified in ink. To infinity and beyond, we had declared in youthful bravado, seeking a future that seemed to shimmer just within reach. But I had been blind to the ways doubt sneaked its way into our hearts. The missed signs, the uneasy whispers of unforeseen danger that lingered like a specter, foretelling the catastrophe that lay ahead. Now, in this ethereal void, the weight of my choices pressed upon me. I could almost hear the flapping pages calling me back to moments when reality had felt far away, buried beneath hope and ambition. They begged to be remembered, to breathe once more, but I held my breath in the silence, grappling with the confounding layers of remorse. One passage stood out vividly, a breathless yearning that seemed to pulse with life. "Martha," I had written, "we'll conquer the skies together. I'll make this the mission that propels us to the stars. I'm doing this for you, for us." There was a spark of joy contained within those lines, a promise I fervently wished to keep. I had envisioned us live on Capturing the Cosmos, yet here I was, lost in a realm of void, burdened by the life that unfolded without me. Each memory I clung to reached out across time, glowing with the warmth of affection, yet shrouded in the heavy weight of longing and sorrow. I could recall afternoons spent dreaming of distant galaxies, the tangled hair of ambition brushing against our cheeks as we schemed and itched for adventure. We had artfully crafted blueprints for a future that glittered, vibrant and bright, painting vivid pictures of what we would achieve. But my heart felt heavy with unspoken truths. The journal had become a keeper of secrets, a vessel for everything I had feared to voice aloud. Beneath the bravado of youth lay shadows, inching in, creeping through like weeds on the edges of a garden we had planted together. I can't ignore the signs I had written the night before that fateful launch, the ink not quite dry. The world feels different. My pen trembled as I considered the buzzing feelings I couldn't shake, fighting against the tide of anticipation that surrounded me. Am I doing this right? What if it changes everything?
In that solitary moment, mere hours before my fate sealed, I had feared I could lose the very essence of what made me alive, the dreamer, the engineer, the one whose hands crafted miracles. Yet here I was, lost to the afterlife's embrace, ensnared in a limbo where every untouched page screamed for recognition. As I drifted between the memories, I sensed the transition, a somber revelation washing over me. My journal was more than an echo of the past. It had become a lifeline to my humanity, a tether to the hearts I had touched. In the wake of my absence, it bore witness to all my regrets and aspirations. And so, I yearned to share it, to connect with the living who might hold it, and feel the weight of dreams still breathing within its pages. In the depth of my longing, I pondered whom I could reach, who might stumble upon this object I once cherished. Could it be Martha? She would recognize the words, the laughter woven tenderly through the lines, those echoes of our bond that once soared so high. Maybe she held the weight of the guilt we both carried, yet not spoken. The dreams that crumbled as sharply as glass, what-ifs forever strangled in the darkness. There, clinging to the vestiges of existence, I understood that the journal contained messages meant for her, and perhaps she would glimpse the raw truth, the reality of our love, the promises etched in ink, the dreams meticulously crafted inside my heart. My reflection deepened as each thought elongated, the memories folding over one another like petals falling in the breeze. I could almost sense her presence, feel the warmth of her laughter wrapping around me like an embrace. I wanted to scream out, hurry the stars into alignment, beckon her to feel the weight of my love, my yearning to connect. I wanted her to uncover those pages, reading them not as a relic of what was lost,
but as a tribute to what could have been. In this space, filled with echoes and whispers, I forged my intent. The journal was my legacy, a compass pointing back to dreams scattered like stardust. I would not be forgotten. My voice would ripple through time, touching the hearts of the living. It was my lifeline, a promise to transcend the divide of life and death, waiting to interlock our destinies once more. And so, I resolved to guide someone toward it, hoping the threads of fate would weave a connection through the stillness. I whispered a prayer into the cosmos, willing the fabric of existence to guide my journal back to her hands, back to the warmth of shared laughter, forward into a future that could still carry our dreams. It was the final promise I could give, a bridge built across the void, and I would watch as her heart reclaimed what once belonged to both of us. The air began to thrum with an energy neither warm nor cold, but tinged with the electric potentiality. It carried with it the weight of my final act, a tribute beyond the corporeal world. I could sense it building within me, that swell of emotion that signified the powerful amalgamation of love, regret, and hope, desperately yearning to manifest in a way that might once again bring Martha and her heart into a luminous embrace. As I drifted through the vastness of existence, I conjured the image of our bustling city, pulsating alive with sound and color. I saw the laughter of children mingling with the distant tapping of shoes on cobblestone streets, blended beautifully with the rhythmic rustling of leaves in the gentle wind. Within this vibrant tapestry, I envisioned a solitary figure making her way through the thrumming life surrounding her. Martha, entwined in her own reality, blissfully unaware of the journal that awaited her, a spark of the spark of hope entangled in her fate. Pulled by a magnetic force, I focused on her essence, feeling it brush against my own, like soft petals brushing together in the summer sun. In an instant, I saw her pause, reminiscent of the times we had shared, when moments of stillness filled the air around us with the sweetness of an unspoken connection. She would cradle my journal to her chest, a tangible link connecting the strands of our lives that weaved together, a lifeline reaching through the shadows of what had been. That journal, filled with inked whispers of sonorous vibrations, awaited the moment her fingertips would dance across its cover. As I envisioned the connection deepening,
I could feel each letter swirling from memory into creation, tracing a path from my spirit to her heart, ready to ignite the forgotten embers of our shared dreams. I took a moment, surrendering completely to the swell of emotions cascading within me. I gathered every precious memory of laughter and pain, joy and regret, the essence of us, and poured it into a vivid tableau unfolding in the mind's eye. The ink flowed, each letter living and breathing as it filled the empty spaces, crafting a legacy that would not only evoke remembrance, but inspire her to leap into a future unshackled by loss. "Please find me," I urged into the ether, fingers poised to pen my heart's final desires. "Read my words, let them guide you to the uncharted territories of possibility." I envisioned her feeling the weight of my wishes, heavy but not crushing, each line a bridge built from longing to resilience, from sorrow to exuberance. With fervor, I began to write, my essence intertwining with each carefully chosen word. I became the vessel for the truth of our connection, and the message unfurled like petals from a flower. "Martha," I inscribed, embracing the memories of voices shared, dreams entwined. "In you I found my purpose. In your laughter I found my light." The ink felt warm beneath my touch. It pulsated with the very rhythm of my heart, alive with affection. I delved into our laughter beneath the stars, the way our dreams had danced brightly amidst the mundane realities of life. "Do you recall those nights by the lake?" I wrote with a profound sense of longing. "We painted the sky with dreams, convinced that tomorrow would hold treasures untold." I felt an ethereal glow blossom within me, igniting the memories to animate once more, as I recounted the echoes of every whispered secret, every touch brushed aside by the winds of uncertainty. With every word, I revealed my profound wish for her, a desire that transcended the boundaries of existence. I yearned for her to live fully, unencumbered by the past. Let the weight of lost dreams recede. Let them be guiding stars toward a future endlessly full of wonder.
Each line, infused with determination, urged her not only to remember, but to embrace the vibrant light within her. And as I penned my hopes, I began to reflect on the deeply woven threads of my sorrows. The times I had hesitated, the unvoiced fears that had spiraled between us like shadows binding our joys. "Do not fear," I inscribed, pouring my essence into the ink. "The love we shared was never fleeting. It is woven into the very fabric of your being, ready to be rediscovered." My words, now alive with passionate intent, transcended the night to reach her where she stood. With the final stroke, I poured my heart into a crescendo of release. I felt my spirit surge forward, sending waves of warmth into the ink. "Here, in these pages, know that my love is eternal. It is woven into the very fabric of your being, ready to be rediscovered." My words, now alive with passionate intent, transcended the night to reach her where she stood. With the final stroke, I poured my heart into a crescendo of release. I felt my spirit surge forward, sending waves of warmth into the ink. "Here, in these pages, know that my love is eternal. My dreams remain entwined with yours. And as you turn these pages, our illustrious path unfolds beyond the canvas of time." I breathed deeply, surrendering the weight of my existence into the ink, feeling the peace enfold within me. And in that act of creation, I began to experience an awakening, a realization that love could stretch beyond the boundaries of life itself. In that luminous moment, I understood that my essence now thrummed through every line, binding me eternally to the dreams we had shared. Each word a lifeline between worlds, a breath against the silence, a promise filled with the luminosity of possibilities. As I allowed my consciousness to intertwine further with the messages, I sensed a wave of clarity wash over me. The essence of our love, our laughter, our dreams would remain forever alive in those pages. And this was but a transition, not a farewell. I relinquished my lingering ties to the corporeal realm,
releasing the heartache, regret, and what-ifs that had trailed behind me like shadows. The shimmering spirit of love held me aloft, dancing amidst the vastness. "Find me," I whispered into the swirling cosmos, energy pulsating in tandem with my dreams. "Let my love light your path. Know that I will always exist within you, striving to nourish the flame of your spirit." I offered one final gesture of gratitude, an invocation of connection that encircled both of us in boundless warmth, cheering Martha on from the other side of existence. As I felt the last strands of my being released, I transformed into a luminous echo of existence, no longer bound by time or space, but forever a part of the boundless dance of love. Time faded into eternity, yet my spirit intermingled with hers, nestled within the letters of a timeless legacy, waiting to spark the fires of hope once more. In the space that followed, there was a profound stillness, a moment suspended in time where echoes of emotions intertwined around me like gossamer threads. I floated, untethered from the world I once knew, sensing the silence wrapping around my essence, enveloping me in a comforting embrace. This was limbo, a realm defined by the interplay of memory and the anticipation of what was yet to unfold. I felt weightless, not merely liberated from flesh and bone, but reborn in a realm of consciousness filled with shimmering whispers. Thoughts and memories danced around like autumn leaves caught in a gentle breeze, swirling in mesmerizing patterns that beckoned to be recognized. Flickers of laughter echoed in my mind, Martha's gentle chuckle, the resonance of our dreams, the sound of our shared hopes reverberating softly against the fabric of memory. Time here was an ethereal fog, stretching infinitely, bending and folding upon itself in a melody of reflection and yearning. I drifted through fragments of my past, each one layered upon the other, like the pages of a cherished book, their texture familiar and bittersweet against my soul. I could almost hear the distant murmurs of the living, the vibrant pulse of life pressing on the edges of my newfound existence, a reminder of the world beyond the veil, where voices called and laughter echoed like sweet, comforting music. But in this weightless state, I realized I was not lost. I was surrounded by my essence, fragments of joy, droplets of sorrow, all coalescing into a greater understanding. Each memory was a star shining brightly within the vast universe of my being, illuminating paths I had walked and choices I had made, each leading me to this very moment. The journal I had infused with my spirit lay nestled among these memories, resonating with a heartbeat of its own, a heart that was undeniably connected to Martha, tethering my essence to her with silken threads of love. I could sense the pull, feel the vibrations of our shared moments still alive, still throbbing with emotion, bridging the realms. In this limbo, I began to see flickers of light shimmering across the cosmos, illuminating the shadows in which I existed. The remnants of my life did not dissipate into darkness. Instead, they twinkled like stars suspended in the infinite night, illuminating the connections I had forged, the love I had nurtured. A wave of warmth washed over me as I bathed in the memories, tangled and reflecting the myriad colors of emotion, sadness, joy, longing, all blending like a vibrant tapestry woven from our shared experiences. Yet, beneath the radiant surface, a hidden tension hummed within me, a desire for resolution, for closure beyond the circumstances that had defined my existence. The unspoken words, the dreams deferred, weighed heavily against my soul's liberation. I floated within this sanctuary, wrapped in quiet introspection, as fragments of realization seeped through my consciousness. I grasped the notion that to let go entirely of my earthly attachments meant confronting the truths that lingered in silence, the snippets of vulnerability I'd concealed, secrets I had tucked away under the guise of self-preservation. I understood that my journey was not just about revelation, it also beckoned me to embrace the unvarnished reality of my life, allowing the fragments of my existence the space to coalesce into a harmonious concerto of acceptance and love. As I surrendered to this introspection, visions of Martha wandered in and out, haunting yet comforting, and memories coalesced around her laughter, a melody that echoed through my once living heart, coaxing me closer. I felt the desire to reach out, to impart wisdom that only could come from a shared existence, but also a yearning to guide her through the maze of her own path, still brimming with potential. The boundaries of my identity began to shift. I was an observer and participant all at once, experiencing her joys and sorrows, her victories and losses, just as she had with me. I sensed her navigating the winding roads of life, the intersection of dreams and reality, each moment intertwining with echoes of my memory, illuminating her path as my spirit thrived within the connection we held. Yet, a lingering thread pulled at me, whispering messages wrapped in shadows. I felt the weight of those endured, the moments when I had faltered, vacillating between what was said and what remained unsaid. Embrace the truth, I urged silently, fingers extending into the streams of consciousness that flowed back to her, eager to share with her the lessons etched in love and regret. In this floating state, I grasped the concept of transformation. I could perceive the metamorphosis of grief, how it twisted and evolved into something more profound, a catalyst for growth and strength. This was not the end, it was a passage, a bridge that formed the gateway to understanding, acceptance, and eventually peace. As I floated through memories, new insights emerged, flowering like the first blooms of spring. In this realm of serenity, I finally could grasp the essence of my life, its enigmatic beauty, adorned with laughter and tears. I was not merely a collection of past sorrows, I was love personified, a heart woven into the very fabric of existence. And as I spun in this ethereal dance, this beautiful reconciliation with my essence, it transformed into a sage's journey. My spirit brushed the memories gently as I sought liberation, allowing the amalgamation of losses and hopes to guide me to a point decisively clear. I could feel the universe teasing me, leading me toward a resolution that was waiting just ahead, as if I had yet another moment to share, one that could restore vibrancy to the life I left behind. In that timeless moment, a dawning understanding emerged, captivating my being. A promise resonated through space, intertwining all that I had once known. It was time to release these echoes, to allow the light of love to shine forth in mangled whisper tones, and weave together the threads of our lives into something new and vibrant. Let us transcend together, I thought, arms reaching out into the expanse of eternity as I embraced this awakening. My essence ignited with renewed vigor, ready to guide Martha into that next chapter, a catalyst for her own awakening, a promise made anew. And as I began to surrender once more to the rhythmic dance of time, I felt the universe hum in admiration, the infinite canvas stretched before us, fraught with potential, awaiting our brushstrokes of love. In the delicate balance between existence and the ethereal realm, I felt a surge of energy, a cosmic awakening, as if time itself had begun to ripple with purpose. Before me, a glimmer emerged, like a star flickering to life. It was Martha, her essence navigating a world filled with shadows of sorrow, unknowingly drawn toward the very journal that held the remnants of our love. I observed her approach,
her fingers trembling as they neared the journal laid upon the desk. The air thickened with emotion. I felt the weight of unspoken memories pressing against her heart. I willed my spirit to radiate warmth, to wrap around her like a gentle embrace, whispering through the silence, "Open it." This was a moment charged with possibility, our connection stretching across the divide between worlds. As she opened the journal, the atmosphere shimmered with vibrancy. Each page turned was a portal, a doorway opening to the laughter and dreams we had woven together. An electric thrill coursed through me as recognition blossomed in her eyes, reflecting the past we shared. I wanted to leap forward, to connect with the joy swelling in her heart, now intertwined with every word inscribed in the ink. I could see her smile, a soft curve that spoke of memories rekindled. "Oh, how we dreamed," I whispered silently, feeling the warmth of those moments coursing through both our essences. Each recounting of our laughter painted her spirit with radiance, igniting hope where shadows once lingered. She began to grasp the truth. Love endures, transcending the confines of loss, ready to flourish anew. "Take a step, dear Martha," I urged, weaving my energy into the rhythm of her heartbeat. This journal was not merely a collection of past sorrow. It was a vessel embodying our shared journey toward future possibilities. Her resolve strengthened, the understanding blossoming as she read, a realization that our love was not merely a memory, but a guiding light. I witnessed as she closed the journal, a soft glow surrounding her. In that moment, she began to perceive the exquisite beauty of life's journey, the truth that every ending holds the seeds of a new beginning. I felt the entangled threads of our hearts vibrating with renewed purpose, as if the course of her life had suddenly become clearer. In the stillness, I sensed my essence merging with hers, intertwining our souls in a dance of love and understanding. With each heartbeat, she carried a piece of me, just as I would eternally embrace every aspect of her journey. The realization unfolded beautifully. We were no longer two separate entities. My spirit thrived within her, illuminating the path ahead. As Martha took that first step forward into the world anew, I embraced her courage. I could feel the winds of change swirling around us, ushering in transformative possibilities. It was a sacred moment, a connection forged through the threads of love, woven with care across the fabric of existence. And as she walked away, I whispered my final thoughts into the cosmos, a gentle prayer to the universe. Live fully, my love. Embrace every moment. Know that I am here, dancing in the laughter that fills your heart, weaving the tapestry of our intertwined story. I sent forth into the cosmic embrace. With one last surge of energy, I surrendered, letting go of the shadows that had weighed on my spirit. The journey was complete, a graceful merging of our souls, a promise fulfilled beyond the bounds of time and space. The universe welcomed me, humming with the song of continuing existence. And as I floated eternally among the stars, I found peace in the knowledge that our love would remain undying, woven into the very tapestry of life. As Martha took that first step forward into the world anew, I embraced her courage. I could feel the winds of change swirling around us, ushering in transformative possibilities. It was a sacred moment, a connection forged through the threads of love, woven with care across the fabric of existence. And as she walked away, I whispered my final thoughts into the cosmos, a gentle prayer to the universe. Live fully, my love. Embrace every moment. Know that I am here, dancing in the laughter that fills your heart, weaving the tapestry of our intertwined story. I sent forth into the cosmic embrace. With one last surge of energy, I surrendered, letting go of the shadows that had weighed on my spirit. The journey was complete, a graceful merging of our souls, a promise fulfilled beyond the bounds of time and space. The universe welcomed me, humming with the song of continuing existence. And as I floated eternally among the stars, I found peace in the knowledge that our love would remain undying, woven into the very tapestry of life.